we'll kick off the day with essentially the crux of the matter that we're here to talk about. So Kent has a huge potential talent pool of women who perhaps are not actually working in businesses or in high-level positions in businesses for one reason or another. What should businesses be doing to tap into the talent pool of women who are out there who, for one reason or another, their personal reasons may not be in work at the moment? What should businesses be doing to tap into the potential talent pool of women that aren't actually in businesses at the moment? Mark, your business actually does this. Tries to pull in women.
I think it's we've got to first of all recognise that because of London and the pull of London, there are, unfortunately, because society dictates that we say this, is that more women than men tend to give up their careers. That means, around this area of Kent, there are a huge number of very well educated, very capable women who are not active in the economy. That's an economic waste. But when you get down to the personal stories of those women, and we'll hear from Rhiannon in a minute, actually it's a complete waste for them, their families, and everything. But as an employer, that is a fantastic opportunity to help and support those women to come and work for you. For 20 years, I've regularly had my socks blown off by the capabilities, the desire to succeed, the want to come and work of people who basically most of the rest of the economy and most of the other employers in Kent are completely ignoring. And I've had some terrific competitive advantage from employing them. And setting up an organisation whose culture, whose working practices enable them to come into the workplace. It's a competitive advantage.
Susanna?
Yeah, I was going to say, and I think you're right, but I think the key to that is you have to want to work. I think it's no good kind of almost saying, they don't do anything for their culture, or, for our environment, etc. But I think as a woman, you have to physically want to work.
Yep.
And I think sometimes when you have children, things, it's a balancing act as to how you manage to make that work. And there is also a very large question on what childcare costs, to then making it worthwhile, to balancing all of that out. But I think if you know that individual wants to work, we're at the highest level of employment, I think, since about 1974. That we are, for me, the government talks about not being able to get enough efficiency and not to be able to drive up productivity. But I think that's being 100% driven by the fact we're all actually just moving jobs. So that if you've got a shortage of staff and you need somebody, you put your salary up and someone looks and thinks, do you know what, I'll go and get a job there, and moves. And then they've got a settling in period, you've got to train. So if we're all moving around in jobs because there's not enough people in work, that is going to stop our productivity and not drive our economy. So how do we get more people in that are more than capable, and how do we work? And I don't think we've found that solution yet, but I think if people absolutely want to get into work, then it's imperative that we find those solutions, otherwise we're not going to drive up productivity.
And I would prefer to be, we're going to have fun, aren't we?
Or is that the time?
I would much prefer to put some flexibility around working practices to retain and recruit a woman who wants to work than have a man that's got to work.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
It's so the debate there seems to be on, should the crux be on business to create flexible practices, create opportunities that are suitable for women to come back into work, or should the onus be perhaps on women to make themselves more employable, able to fit in more with the working practices of business? Is that the wrong way to look about this?
I think businesses do need to embrace diversity internally and recruit it into its structures and procedures. But I see this discussion quite often now. How do we recruit more women into our companies? And I hear this from the armed forces as well. They now have a goal to recruit, I think, 20% until 2020, something like that. I don't know the percentages exactly. So it is just how I remember. But people normally don't talk, and businesses don't talk about what's going to happen when these women and all these people join the organization. So I think, yes, women do have to want to come to work, but there's a lot that organizations can do in order to change their structures and create the conditions for women actually be able to perform their job once they are recruited.
Mm.